Hi, S2 geographers. This lesson is all about land use, and the skills that you're going to be learning here is to do a bit of land use planning. You'll know you'll be successful by the end of this project if you've developed a land use proposal. But something I really want to just talk about before we get started here is the employment focus. Geography is a brilliant subject where you can get lots of careers, and you would have a job in town and city planning using the skills that we're going to be doing in this lesson, and loads more things aside from that: local authority planning, design, architecture, environmental pressure groups, construction, site surveying, loads of stuff. So it's a really important skill set. It's something which definitely got employment opportunities for you. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, you'll definitely want to put a title, and the title is S2 Geography Land Use. Now you want to put a subtitle, which is What is Land Use? And you should copy this note. It's really important to understand that there are thousands of ways we use the land, and when we build something new, that is a land use. So for example, a new house, a new town, a new village, a new shopping centre, a new railway station, a new airport, these are all land uses. We need to consider carefully some things though. When we choose the location for a new project, we want to think about where, who and what. Where is the best place, who will be affected, and what will the environmental impact be? And that's what we're going to do in a moment. So copy that note down because that's really important. Let's get stuck into our first big question, which is where is the best place? You want to think about, is the land flat or is it bumpy or steep? Is there anything already in the way? Like, for example, is there a forest in the way that we're going to have to chop down? Is there a stream that we're going to have to divert? Is the ground already boggy and marshy? Is the location that we're choosing near to the things that we need? Maybe we need a workforce to work in our shopping centre if that's what we're building. Maybe we need a railway station nearby so people can reach the building that we're creating. You might want to think to yourself right now, why would flat land be best, and what would the problems be with marshy ground and trees? Flat land is so crucial and always more expensive than steep land because it's easier to build on. And if there's trees, rivers and marshy ground in the way, obviously that's all going to have to be cleared, and that has an impact on the environment, but also has an impact on the cost of the project. And we're always trying to keep the costs of a project down. Okay, so let's get stuck straight into this. On your screen you can see a map, and just get the right thing here. Okay, so maps are made up of lots and lots and lots of symbols, and your teacher will provide you with various maps where you can learn the symbols from the key. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. The one I want to focus on are these brown lines. These are called contour lines. Now, I'm not going to go into a big in-depth explanation of contour lines here because you'll have covered that in class, or you can look at other videos. But I just want to focus on some basics. These lines on a map are the contour lines. They show the height of the land. For example, anywhere along this contour line, and you'll see that it joins up with itself, is 75 meters above sea level. Anywhere along this contour line is 70 meters above sea level. So, as you walk from 65 to 75, you will go uphill. These contours are close together to each other, so the land changes height more quickly. The land goes up in height from 65 to 75 meters. Here's the 65 meter contour, the 70 and the 75 meter contour. Let's use those exact same contours to see what happens when the contours are further apart from each other. Well, these circles are exactly the same contours that we were just talking about. You can check for yourself. Look. They're exactly the same ones. Now, the distance between them is greater, and that means they're more stretched apart. That means it's gonna take a longer time for you to climb from 65 to 70 to 75 meters, and that means the land rises less quickly. That means the land goes up in height from 65 to 75 meters slowly, and as you walk from 65 to 75 meters, you will therefore go up a gentler hill. It's very rare to find something which is completely flat, guys, but what you can do is you can use this kind of comparison to decide which area would be better to build the houses on. So, if you look back at the notes that you've already taken from this lesson, which area, red or blue, would be better for building houses on? In your explanation, you might find that you get two different points of view. The red area is fair enough, it's on steep land, and that's not good. The blue area is on flatter land, and we know that's easier. But look at the blue area. It's got lots of problems. We're going to have to chop down these trees, we're going to have to demolish this path, we're going to have to speak to the owner of the golf course. We've got this in fact is a canal, but you'd be forgiven for thinking it's a river. We've got this waterway here, which we're going to have to build bridges over, or we're going to have to do something with. So there's actually quite a lot of challenges to building in this area. So what you're going to have to get used to is making a balanced point of view. You're going to have to argue the case for whichever location you choose. There's never really a perfect location. Okay, that's a really important thing to get straight right now. There's never a perfect location. You're going to have to compromise. So who will be affected? That's our next big question. Make sure you take these notes, guys. You should be taking all the notes in the presentation. And if I go too fast to you, don't worry, just pause the video, rewind, take your time. You can just pause it on the screen that you need to catch up on. Are there people nearby who will be affected by our construction? So for example, local houses to our construction may be disturbed by the construction noise. Maybe there will be other land users that will be affected by our construction. For example, if we build a shopping centre and that means loads of cars come to our area, then local roads are going to get very congested. That's going to make for more air pollution, more car pollution. That's going to mean that nearby schools, hospitals and roads get clogged up and jammed, and nobody wants that. So that's why it would be a bad idea to build your shopping centre right next to a hospital. Are there positives you can think of? It's very easy to only focus on negatives, but you are going to have to be selling a land use. You're going to have to argue the case for a project to be built. So how is it going to improve people's lives? That's something you need to think about. So let's look at this example. I'm going to show you 4 different areas on this map, and you've got to think about how it benefits or doesn't benefit. Remember, good or bad reasons are fine. Local people. So we're going to look at Edinburgh Gateway Station. Now this railway station that you see with the red dot here, this black line is the railway line, and this is the railway station. This yellow one, by the way, is a tram station, Edinburgh Trams, just out of interest. Anyway, this railway station has just been built. It's brand new. And obviously the people who built it, they were doing what you're trying to do. They did a town planning effort, and they had to look very carefully at the map and decide that this was the best location for their railway station. So obviously they put a lot of thought into this. Can we try now to unpick some of their thinking? Why is it good for these people living in these houses that there's a railway station there? Maybe they can get to work easier. Maybe they can get into the centre of Edinburgh more easily. Maybe they can go north into Fife more easily. There are lots of reasons why it's good they live right next to a railway station. Can you think of a reason why it might be bad that they live right next to a railway station? What about this factory? When you see the letters WKS, that stands for works, and that indicates a factory. Interesting side fact, by the way, all factories are shown as the word works, and that's to anonymise what it is that they produce. So, this is a factory. Why is it good that a factory would be right next to a railway station? I think there's obvious things we can say about workers getting to work here, but can you think of anything else? What about the Gyle Shopping Centre? How is it going to benefit from having a big railway station built right next to it? Something to think about here is if you've talked about workers in your factory sentence, try not to repeat yourself. Can you think of a different group of people who are going to be able to come to the Gyle Shopping Centre by using this new railway station? And what about, here's one for the people who really want to push for the best level answers. What about this one down here? Here we have South Gyle Railway Station. Now it's got a little collection of shops next to it. It's got its own services. How will they be impacted by the much larger Edinburgh Gateway Station? Positively or negatively? I can actually think of positives and negatives. Maybe you can too. To help you on your way with this, here's your first sentence starter. For the red area, the area of housing, the area of housing will or will not benefit because. You choose. You can do a sentence that's for it will benefit. You can do a sentence that says it will not benefit. You can do both. But you've got to think of a reason why. The factory, that's the area in green, will or will not benefit because. The nearby station in purple will or will not benefit because. And lastly, the shopping centre will or will not benefit because. Do them in any order that you like. And remember, every correct sentence that you do, that gets you a mark. So our final area that's important to us in the planning process is how is the environment affected? We've got to be thinking about the environment. We've got to make sure that our plans are environmentally sound. Remember, these are notes, so you should copy them. Pause the video and copy. You need to think about, is there protected land? Is it a park, a nature reserve? Or maybe it's none of those things, but it's got a bit of green space, it's got a little bit of forest on it, and that means that there's animal habitat there, and we can't just go destroying animal habitat without a little bit of careful thought first. We need to think about, for example, how could wildlife be affected by building a road or a structure across their habitat? You need to be careful that we're not cutting a habitat area in two. If you think about it, animals need to be able to move throughout their habitat for various reasons. And if we build a great big motorway through a forest, then that's going to make it difficult, for example, for animals to breed. How could the land use itself create pollution? Some land uses are pollutive. For example, if we build a road, clearly we're going to increase the amount of traffic pollution. Or if we build a shopping centre, that car park is going to attract thousands of cars a day and increase localised air pollution. A housing estate will create more congestion, that means traffic jams, on local road networks. So you have to be careful and think about the environment. Let's look at this example. Why would the construction of a new road marked in red, you can see it along the top of the screen here, is this red dashed line that I've drawn on, be strongly opposed on environmental grounds? At first, you'll think this is an easy and obvious answer because there is some very obvious stuff here. For example, we've got a nature reserve right there with a little duck symbol. But actually, the more closely you look, the more you'll see. If we put a road here, then there's going to be actually quite a few things that will be damaged. See if you can build up as many as you can. You should be able to get at least 5 or 6 off of the map. with a little bit of imagination. And remember, if you start to struggle, look back at the notes that I've just given you, because actually I'm kind of seeding the answers in there as well. Right, having covered all of those basics, you are ready for a challenge. Now, if this was in class, you'd be working in a team to choose a location on the map for Landuse. You're going to make a kind of Dragon's Den style presentation. It's going to have to be very quick. You're going to have to sell your project to the class, and there can only be one winner, and the class will vote on who that winner will be. Be aware though, other groups in the class will get the opportunity to ask you a question to criticize your plans, to try and undermine your plans so other people won't vote for you. They're only allowed to do that based on map evidence though, so it has to be something they've seen on the map. As I said, the winner will be decided by a vote. So in your group, what you need to do is you need to choose your land use project. Now, if you're not working in a group, that's fine. You can just do this yourself. The only thing you need is a map, of course, and you can approach me for one of those anytime. Let's just go through the instructions though. Basically, you're going to choose one of these red labels. A new area of housing, a shopping mall, a new road connecting two settlements, or a rubbish dump. And for a kind of bronze level award, I think you just want to be making a simple labelled map with your land use on. Only the most basic points should be considered, and you might not have very good answers or any answers to the questions that you're asked. But most of us want to be aiming for more than just the most basic level of competency. For a silver, you want to medal up into silver, guys. That's where really you want to be getting all of your work into silver or gold. You should have a detailed map that considers all of the facts in your information worksheet. You can get an information worksheet from me, or you can download it here. You should have good, satisfactory answers to your questions. And for gold, which is where I think most of us should at least be aspiring to get to, not all of us will get there of course, you need to have a very detailed presentation, a beautiful poster which considers all of the problems of the project from a number of different viewpoints. And you need to have a good presentation too, and you need to be able to answer questions that are thrown at you. So gold is a challenge. Okay, that's the end of the lesson. You may need to collect some resources from me. You may need to speak to your teacher. That's absolutely fine. I'll be going through this with you in class anyway, and you're going to get a fixed amount of time to produce a poster presentation that sells your project.